And this is the astrological forecast for the sign of Gemini for the whole of 2020. It's not going to be too bad a year, folks. There's going to be some interesting developments as the year progresses, but they're going to be affecting other people much more than they are you. You're more of not so much an innocent bystander, but you're on the sidelines looking in at some of the bigger things that are going on in the world. And if you're sensible, you'll be happy to stay on the sidelines and not get too involved. It's not that the world is passing you by. It's just that the major stuff that's going on isn't really directly affecting you. And now, of course, some of you are going to be having a challenging year and others of you will be having a really positive year. It's that type of year, but it's not a year that's going to be firm or strong in the memory. It's not going to be like the last few years, for example. If I take you back 3 or 4 years ago, or even last year, then there's been a lot of limitation and restriction, a lot of restructuring, and particularly last year, some situations, especially involving other people in your life, were completely over the top and larger than life. That's gone. And now, in 2020, you're heading into a relatively quiet year, at least compared to most. Now, bearing in mind that sun sign forecasts are generalised. But anyway, here's a few little facts. The new moon in Gemini is on the 22nd of May this year. It's happening at 2 degrees of Gemini, and it's pretty much exactly trine Saturn in the sky at that time. So what this tells me is that, first of all, that the period around the 22nd of May is a good time for all Geminis to be able to bring a degree of structure, discipline, effort, focus, concentration and hard work into what you're doing at that time. And you should find that your glass is 5 to 10% fuller than normal around the 22nd of May. Particularly those of you born around the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of May, this is actually a very good time for you around your birthday to initiate, start afresh, launch something, begin, because it's just a great new moon to start something new on. With the trine to Saturn, you're going to find that the opportunity for you to bring a lot of boundary, structure and discipline into any new project started at that time should pretty much guarantee a better quality of success than normal. The full moon in Gemini is on the 30th of November at 8.5 degrees of Gemini. And this is going to be directly impacting on those of you born around the 29th, 30th of May. Now, this full moon in Gemini on the 30th of November, it's not a big deal. It's not affecting other people in the sky. It's not affecting other planets around you. So I don't think it's going to be that big a deal, to be honest. Not in terms, it may be big astronomically, it won't be big astrologically. Mars isn't going to move into your sign next year, but more on that in a moment. Mercury is. Mercury's going to whiz through Gemini. It's going to spend about 16 to 17 days only in your sign. And this will be from the 11th of May to the 28th of May. So this is actually an excellent time for any type of travel, communication, networking. Now I say Mars isn't going to be passing through Gemini over the coming year. It's not. It's possible that Mars could give a little bit of a kind of irritation and impatience and frustration into situations involving other people at the one-to-one level in your life, whether that's personal and intimate, friend, social, professional. If so, you will notice this in the first 6 weeks of the year, from the 3rd of January through to the 16th of February, when Mars is in your opposite sign of Sagittarius. Not likely. But it's not so much Mars I'm looking at in connection with you, Gemini, it's more Venus. Because Venus normally spends anywhere from 3.5 to 4 weeks in a sign of the zodiac on its journey around the sun. Every so often, Venus goes retrograde. It goes retrograde 5 times every 8 years. 5 times every 8 years, that's right. Venus is going to go retrograde in Gemini in 2020. Venus will move into Gemini on the 3rd of April. And then on the 13th of May, Venus will go retrograde. It will stand still and stop going retrograde on the 25th of June, and then it will finally leave Gemini on the 7th of August. So from the 3rd of April to the 7th of August, 17 weeks, Venus is going to be in your sign. Now, I don't consider Venus by transit normally to be that much of a major role player, except when it's retrograde. So Venus is going to be going retrograde between 5 and 21 degrees of Gemini. Translate that into birthdays, and that suggests that those people born between the 26th of May and the 12th of June. Over this period around your birthday, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, you're likely to find that certain situations around value and worth are up for reassessment and reevaluation. If you're one of these people born from the 26th of May to the 12th of June, then the time around your birthday, and 2 to 3 weeks each side of it, is not a good time for making large-scale, long-term financial commitments, because you'll probably make the wrong decision. Wait until the end of June at least, and ideally well into July. And this has a knock-on effect into all of your lives. Venus retrograde in Gemini is actually no laughing matter. It's not so much a major problem as more of an inconvenience. Let's look at the outer planets. Jupiter in Capricorn all year isn't touching you. Pluto in Capricorn all year isn't touching you. Uranus in your next door sign of Taurus all year isn't touching you. Neptune is. Neptune's been playing merry hell with some of you, and those of you born around the 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th of May, maybe the 8th of May. Wrong. The 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe the 8th of June, I'm sorry. You've had a pretty weird 2019. There's been a lot of fatigue, weariness, confusion, distortion. And this is now drawing to a close. In the first month or two of 2020, Neptune is finishing this energy of dissolution, dissolving, for those of you born around the 6th, 7th and 8th of June. By the time you're into mid-February, you can put this behind you and spend the rest of the year in recovery. However, those of you born around the 9th, 10th and 11th of June, Neptune is going to be squaring your Sun over the next 12 months, through to February of 2021. And this says that you can't do marathons in this coming year. You can't burn yourself out. You can't push yourself too hard. The more you try and hang on to things, people, situations or environments, the more they're going to slip between your fingers like sand and water. It's a time of dissolving, confusion, releasing, letting go. So if you're one of these people born around the 9th, 10th, 11th of June, this is not a year of pushing yourself too hard. Instead, it's a time to give in to fatigue every so often, one day at a time, every 100 days or something like that, and have a long bath and throw a sickie at work and just go back to bed for the day, and then you're fine for the next 3 months. But Neptune will deplete your energies. If you normally run on 98%, then over the coming year you're only going to be running on 91, 92, and the knock-on effect will echo into all of your lives. But it's not all doom and gloom. Saturn will actually stick its nose out of Capricorn into Aquarius later this year, and the time from late March through to early July, and then again at the very end of the year, Saturn is actually smiling significantly on those of you born at the very start of Gemini, around the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of May. And you're in a really good position to, especially around that Gemini new moon on the 22nd of May, you're in a really good position this year to start putting in place roots and foundations, plans and procedures with a sense of gravity, solidity, strength and long-term potentials for the future. And this is something that's really going to echo next year. It has to be said, 2020 is not a difficult year for the vast majority of you. The exception being those people born around the 9th, 10th and 11th of June. 2021 is going to be an excellent year for all of you. Compared to most other people, you've got it relatively light. So I think as far as the whole of 2020 goes, stay below the radar screen. No need to get out there and get too involved. Other people can look after themselves, and of course reach out and help, of course. But remember, how can you help anyone else if you're not in good working order yourself? So putting yourself first sometimes isn't selfishness, it's self-enlightened interest. If you're in a good shape, then you can reach out and help others. But this year, do your best to not be at the forefront. Stay in the background where you can be of best use, both to yourself and of others. And a big thank you to those of you who have helped me in this last year, both in terms of the donations you've kindly sent me. Thank you so much, because without those donations I wouldn't be able to keep doing this for free, unlike some other astrologers who've given up doing free stuff. And also those people who have helped me in terms of organising gigs and workshops and lectures. I'll be doing more next year. Thanks, Gemini. Have a great year. Bye now.